So Aaron Rodgers is not at Jets minicamp, mandatory minicamp. And Robert Saleh, the head coach of the team, said that it is an unexcused absence. And a report said that Aaron is at an event that is important to him. Now, people speculate, well, could that be like maybe, I don't know, the birth of a child in his family or a loved one? Could that be, God forbid, a family situation that's dire? Whatever the case may be, it could be, but then why would Robert Saleh say unexcused absence? Like, you'd think Aaron would call, like, hey, man, there's a situation going on. Like, I need to be there. And they'd be like, hey, cool, Aaron. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, worry about your family, worry about your loved ones, come back to us in a good situation. But then it'd be excused. So the fact that it's an unexcused absence tells us that it is not anything, presumably, of concern. What I find absolutely rich as it pertains to this conversation around Aaron Rodgers was the fact, keep in mind, this is mandatory minicamp. Mandatory. You get fined for when you're not there. And usually the only guys who are not at minicamp are dudes who are holding out for a contract. By the way, there's a guy on the New York Jets right now that is currently looking for a contract, Hassan Reddick, who they traded the pass rusher, who's with Philly, who traded him to the Jets. He's looking for a new contract. He's holding out. That is very, very normal. CeeDee Lamb's doing it in Dallas. It's very common. So, but Aaron's not holding out for a contract. So why is he gone? Well, we'll find out eventually. I don't think anybody knows for certain. I've heard of speculation that it's a vacation, whatever it is. What we do know is this. As long as it's not a situation with his family or loved ones, as long as it's not I want to make that abundantly clear. As long as it's not a family situation or something he absolutely has to attend. Aaron Rodgers was in a situation coming into this week, or knowing that this week was going to happen, where he had to choose between said event of choice and mandatory minicamp. Mandatory minicamp, which might I present this for a team that Aaron played 4 snaps for last season before he blew out his Achilles, a team that has reconstructed its offensive line, a team that has added Mike Williams, an injury-prone receiver. You'd think receivers Aaron would try and build a rapport with. Would he not have learned from 2 years ago when he didn't build a rapport with the receivers in Green Bay and it didn't go terribly well? And when Jordan Love did, he had an amazing second half, got the Packers to the playoffs, which Aaron couldn't do his last year there. All of that. Aaron had to make a decision. Non-football event or football event. And he chose the non-football event. Now, that's well within his right to do. It's not the worst thing a player's ever done exactly. What it is, though, is a direct and obvious contradiction from a declaration he made to the media, to the New York media, and almost calling out the franchise. He's pretty good at that. That, hey, football first, guys. Take a listen. Aaron Rodgers' his exit interview in January. Just take a listen. Aaron Rodgers. What is it about football, and we focus on football, we focus on other stuff. Aaron, what you got to say?
Anything that doesn't have anything to do with winning needs to be assessed. So anything in this building that we're doing individually or collectively that has nothing to do with real winning needs to be assessed. Everything that we do has to have a purpose too. When you step in the building, there's intentionality with everything that you do. And it's not a half the time thing, it's not a sometimes thing, it's not a most of the time thing, it's an every time thing. If you want to be a winning organization, and to put yourself in position to win championships and be competitive, everything that you do matters. And the bullshit that has nothing to do with winning needs to get out of the building. So that'll be the focus moving forward.
That would be like me saying that short, bearded white guys from the South shouldn't do sports podcasts. Okay, so the BS that has nothing to do with winning needs to be out of the building. And that can't be a sometimes thing. That can't be a most of the time thing. That has to be an every time thing. Well, every time thing, a mandatory minicamps, I would assume, is with that. And, if you look at other teams around the NFL, they've got their franchise quarterback. It looks like, despite a contract situation, it looks like Dak's at Cowboys OTAs and Joe Burrow coming off an injury. Is it, not OTAs, mandatory minicamp. Looks like Burrow is at mandatory minicamp, and Mahomes coming off of 2 Super Bowls, despite having great chemistry with all of his receivers, seemingly except for Hollywood Brown, and Russell Wilson's at Steelers OTAs or mandatory minicamp. Josh Allen's with the Bills, and everybody's there except for Aaron Rodgers. Interesting. That's really interesting. Almost as if this is like a recurring theme with him. Almost as if this offseason, he has caused attention, unneeded, I might add, to himself and to the New York Jets to a large degree. The fact that the Jets kept Nathaniel Hackett. Well, Nathaniel Hackett didn't get to work with Aaron Rodgers. Don't give him a fair shake. Okay, Hackett was awful in Buffalo as the OC. He had one good year in Jacksonville. The rest were awful. He was terrible. He went bad with the Packers. The Packers put up great offensive numbers when Nathaniel Hackett was the OC of the team. Matt LaFleur called the plays. He did. He was there. What's his name? He was there because Aaron Rodgers liked throwing darts with him, reportedly. And the Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett, and he didn't survive his first season, and the Jets were a train wreck offensively. Well, they had Zach Wilson. They had Joe Flacco last year, who played for the Browns, and Joe Flacco had some pretty good games in Cleveland. Why? Because Kevin Stefanski is a great coach. Hackett is not. They keep Nathaniel Hackett because he's buddies with Aaron. Keep some of these guys because they're tight with Aaron Rodgers. Also, the fact that since making that quote, he walked back an implication that Jimmy Kimmel is a pedophile and is on the Epstein list. Neither, certainly the latter, is objectively false. And that was after the football first. Get the BS that has nothing to do with football out of the building. To get that out of here. This is the same Aaron Rodgers who went on Tucker Carlson, I should say Russian propagandist Tucker Carlson's podcast and talked about conspiracy theories related to Pat Tillman and the United States government. Typical Aaron Rodgers. This is the same Aaron Rodgers who it was reported by multiple outlets, confirmed by Aaron himself with Tucker Carlson, that he was on the short list of candidates of options to be Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s running mate in the 2024 presidential election. So what, in week 6, week 7, does he have to say, hey guys, can't attend practice tomorrow. I got to be at this debate here with Kamala Harris and Nikki Haley. Assuming that's the 2 Trump picks. Huh? That call me crazy. That doesn't seem to be about football. Yeah. Keep in mind also that Robert Saleh is on the hot seat this year. Robert Saleh is coaching for his life right now to try and remain the head coach of the New York Jets. And you know, a lot of guys, the Jets are looking to get paid, like Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner, and put in the work, put in the time, put in the effort, showing up to avoid fines, to build camaraderie, team chemistry in mandatory minicamps. And guess who's not there in a non-contract related situation? It's almost as if the last quarterback to not attend minicamps for a non-contract related situation was Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago in Green Bay. Almost as if this is who he has been throughout the course of his career, and particularly within the last few seasons. Football is not first for him. By the way, that's okay. If it's not first, then retire. Or at the very least, don't project and lecture about how this is the way things are done to win. Aaron, you haven't won a Super Bowl in a decade and a half. Almost. So this is not Tom Brady coming to Tampa, being hard on guys, Mike Evans, being hard on Chris Godwin, Gronk, AB, Leonard Fournette, some of these guys who had never won before. Really talented players, but had never had that winning culture instilled there. Tom instilled that and won immediately and made the playoffs the other 2 years he was there. Listen, nobody's going to fault Aaron for the Jets not reaching expectations last year because he played 4 snaps. Of course, nobody would fault him for that. But for roster construction, for Nathaniel Hackett being an employed offensive coordinator of the National Football League, for Tim Boyle, who I'm not kidding, does not deserve to be in the NFL based on merit because he's buddies with Aaron. Randall Cobb, same thing. Although Randall was once good, he's just not the player he used to be. It is the lack of self-awareness and the true, I'm going to say it, narcissism. Aaron is the guy. We all know that person in our life. and a lot of them are, as Aaron is a conspiracy theorist, there's that one person, we all know him, family, Kimmy, anybody, who walks in the room, views themselves as the smartest person in the room, views you as you should fall in line right behind them in whatever the discussion or topic or objective is. And it should also be mentioned too, well, you know, the Jets, they can deal with this because Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. No, he's not. We could show you the stat. I used this a couple months ago, and I saved it for such an occasion as this. I don't usually save a ton of graphics, but I'm like, just in case I need to bring it back up, I'm going to bring it back up. So Aaron didn't play last year. We're not going to fault him for that. His Achilles blew. But if you look at Aaron Rodgers, we could put up the stat right here. In the last 22 games in Green Bay, 36 touchdowns, 12 picks, completes about 66% of his passes, 96 passer rating, throws for 218 yards per game, is 11-11, 0 300-yard games, 0 playoff wins. Now, at face value, 96 passer rating, the completion percentage is solid, touchdown interception ratio, pretty good. At face value, you're like, this is a good quarterback. But for two things. A, we've never viewed Aaron as a good quarterback. We viewed him as a Hall of Fame legend, frankly, as we should. He's a 4-time league MVP. And also, those numbers, last 22 games, and I did the segment on this a couple months ago, those mirror Baker Mayfield stats. And to a degree, Russell Wilson stats in the last 22 games. His last 300-yard passing game, folks, was, if I'm getting this correct, it was either week 13 or 14 of 2021. That's 2.5 years ago. Now, maybe he would have had a 300-yard passing game with the Jets, maybe, but would he have time? Would he have had time to be able to pull that off behind that Jets offensive line? Because I can tell you this. Same receivers in Green Bay. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. Jordan Love didn't miss a beat in the second half of the season. He was great. Statistically, one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. With the same roster that Aaron led to an 8-9 record and missed the playoffs. So this is the utter audacity to come out and say, hey, you know, guys that are around here got to fall in line. It's got to be a football-first operation. Guess who's not at minicamp for an event that means a lot to him? Now, again, assuming this isn't a family thing, a true important situation that Aaron needs to attend to, that is my caveat. If it's not that is typical Aaron Rodgers. Do as I say, not as I do. And it's been a recurring theme his last few years in Green Bay, going to the Jets now, and Aaron Rodgers is a lot of things. A self-proclaimed Swiftie is one of them. And Taylor Swift, who has obviously many popular songs, one of them goes like this. I'm not going to sing it, by the way. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Oh, it applies to one of her Swifties, Aaron Rodgers. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.